planetary systems like ours in the universe, with planets orbiting a host star. Our planetary system is named the Solar System because of our Sun is named Sol, after the Latin word for sun, solis, and anything related to the Sun we call solar. Our solar system consists of our star, the Sun, and everything bound to it by gravity. The planets Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, dwarf planets such as Pluto, dozens of moons and millions of asteroids, comets, and meteoroids. The Sun, as represented by the watermelon, is the largest object within our solar system, comprising 99.8% of the system's mass. The Sun is located at the center of our solar system, and Earth orbits 93 million miles away from it. Though massive, the Sun still isn't as large as other types of stars. It's classified as a yellow dwarf star. The Sun is the heart of our solar system, a hot ball of glowing gases. Its gravity holds the solar system together, keeping everything from the biggest planets to the smallest particles of debris in its orbit. Electric currents in the Sun generate a magnetic field that is carried out through the solar system by the solar wind, a stream of electrically charged gas blowing outward from the Sun in all directions. The connection and interactions between the Sun and Earth drive the seasons, ocean currents, weather, climate, radiation belts, and aurorae. Though it is special to us, there are billions of stars like our Sun scattered across the Milky Way galaxy. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system and nearest to the Sun. It is only slightly larger than Earth's moon. From the surface of Mercury, the Sun would appear more than 3 times as large as it does when viewed from Earth, and the sunlight would be as much as 7 times brighter. Despite its proximity to the Sun, Mercury is not the hottest planet in our system. That title belongs to nearby Venus, thanks to its dense atmosphere. Along with Venus, Earth, and Mars, Mercury is one of the rocky planets. It has a solid surface that is covered with craters like our moon. It has a thin atmosphere and it doesn't have any moons. Mercury spins slowly compared to Earth, so one day lasts a long time. Mercury takes 59 Earth days to make one full rotation, but a year on Mercury goes fast because it's the closest planet to the Sun. It goes around the Sun in just 88 Earth days. Venus is the second planet from the Sun and is Earth's closest planetary neighbor. It's one of the four inner terrestrial or rocky planets, and it's often called Earth's twin because it's similar in size and density. These are not identical twins. However, there are radical differences between the two worlds. Venus has a thick, toxic atmosphere filled with carbon dioxide, and it's perpetually shrouded in thick, yellowish clouds of sulfuric acid that trap heat, causing a runaway greenhouse effect. It's the hottest planet in our solar system, even though Mercury is closer to the Sun. Surface temperatures on Venus are about 900 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to melt lead. Venus rotates on its axis backward, compared to most of the other planets in the solar system. This means that on Venus, the Sun rises in the west and sets in the east, opposite to what we experience on Earth. Our home planet is the third planet from the Sun, and the only place we know of so far that's inhabited by living things. While Earth is only the fifth largest planet in the solar system, it is the only world in our solar system with liquid water on the surface. Just slightly larger than nearby Venus, Earth is the biggest of the four planets closest to the Sun, all of which are made of rock and metal. The name Earth is at least 1,000 years old. All of the planets except for Earth were named after Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. However, the name Earth is a Germanic word which simply means the ground. Earth's atmosphere is made mostly of nitrogen and has plenty of oxygen for us to breathe. The atmosphere also protects us from incoming meteoroids, most of which break up before they can hit the surface. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun, a dusty, cold desert world with a very thin atmosphere. Mars is also a dynamic planet with seasons, polar ice caps, canyons, extinct volcanoes, and evidence that it was even more active in the past. Mars is one of the most explored bodies in our solar system, and it's the only planet where we've sent rovers to roam the alien landscape. Mars is about half the size of Earth. It orbits the Sun and completes one rotation every 24.6 hours, which is very similar to one day on Earth. Martian days are called sols, short for solar day. A year on Mars lasts 669.6 sols, which is the same as 687 Earth days. Jupiter is the fifth planet from our Sun and is, by far, the largest planet in the solar system, more than twice as massive as all the other planets combined. Jupiter's stripes and swirls are actually cold, windy clouds of ammonia and water, floating in an atmosphere of hydrogen and helium. Jupiter's iconic Great Red Spot is a giant storm bigger than Earth and that has raged for hundreds of years. Jupiter is surrounded by dozens of moons. Jupiter's four largest moons, the Galilean satellites, are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Jupiter also has several rings, but unlike the famous rings of Saturn, Jupiter's rings are very faint and made of dust, not ice. And despite its size, Jupiter has the shortest day of any other planet. It only takes about 10 hours for a complete rotation. A lot like the Sun, Jupiter is mostly composed of hydrogen and helium. Jupiter contains the largest ocean in the solar system, an ocean of liquid hydrogen. Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun and the second largest planet in our solar system. Adorned with a dazzling system of icy rings, Saturn is unique among the planets. It is not the only planet to have rings, but none are as spectacular or as complex as Saturn's. Like fellow gas giant Jupiter, Saturn is a massive ball made mostly of hydrogen and helium. Saturn is 9 times wider than Earth. It is 9.5 astronomical units away from the Sun. Saturn has the second shortest day in the solar system. One day on it takes only 10.7 hours, and it makes a complete orbit around the Sun in about 29.4 Earth years. Saturn is home to a vast array of intriguing and unique worlds, from the haze-shrouded surface of Titan to crater-riddled Phoebe. Each of Saturn's moons tells another piece of the story surrounding the Saturn system. Currently, Saturn has 53 confirmed moons and 29 additional provisional moons awaiting confirmation. Uranus orbits our Sun, a star, and is the seventh planet from the Sun at a distance of about 1.8 billion miles. Uranus is about 4 times wider than Earth. If Earth were a large apple, Uranus would be the size of a basketball. Uranus takes about 17 hours to rotate once Iranian day and about 84 Earth years to complete an orbit of the Sun. Uranus is known as an ice giant. Most of its mass is a hot, dense fluid of icy materials, water, methane, and ammonia, above a small rocky core. Uranus has an atmosphere made mostly of molecular hydrogen and atomic helium with a small amount of methane. Uranus has 27 known moons, and they are named after characters from the works of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. Uranus also has faint rings. The inner rings are narrow and dark, The outer rings are brightly colored and easier to see. Like Venus, Uranus rotates in the opposite direction as most other planets, and unlike any other planets, Uranus rotates on its side. Dark, cold, and whipped by supersonic winds, ice giant Neptune is the eighth and most distant planet in our solar system. More than 30 times as far from the Sun as Earth, Neptune is the only planet in our solar system not visible to the naked eye, and the first predicted by mathematics before its discovery. In 2011, Neptune completed its first 165-year orbit since its discovery in 1846. Neptune takes about 16 hours to rotate once and about 165 Earth years to orbit the Sun. It is an ice giant. Most of its mass is a hot, dense fluid of icy materials, water, methane, and ammonia above a small rocky core. Neptune's atmosphere is made up mostly of molecular hydrogen, atomic helium, and methane. Neptune has 14 known moons, which are named after sea gods and nymphs in Greek mythology. Neptune has at least 5 main rings and 4 more ring arcs, which are clumps of dust and debris likely formed by the gravity of a nearby moon. Voyager 2 is the only spacecraft to have visited Neptune. No spacecraft has orbited this distant planet to study it at length and up close. Pluto had been officially listed among the planets since it was discovered in 1930, orbiting beyond Neptune. But in 1992, an icy object was discovered still farther from the Sun than Pluto. Many other such discoveries followed, including an object named Eris that appears to be at least as large as Pluto. It became apparent that Pluto was simply one of the larger members of this new group of objects, collectively known as the Kuiper Belt. Accordingly, in August 2006, the International Astronomical Union, the organization charged by the scientific community with classifying astronomical objects, voted to revoke Pluto's planetary status and place it under a new classification called dwarf planet. Any natural solar system object other than the Sun, a planet, a dwarf planet, or a moon is called a small body. These include asteroids, meteoroids, and comets. Most of the several 100,000 asteroids or minor planets orbit between Mars and Jupiter in a nearly flat ring called the asteroid belt. The myriad fragments of asteroids and other small pieces of solid matter that populate interplanetary space are often termed meteoroids to distinguish them from the larger asteroidal bodies. Thank you for traveling the solar system with me. Bye!